Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this month's hearing of the Tuscaloosa Historic Preservation Commission. Today's date is January 10th, 2024, and the time is 5 o'clock p.m. I'm Kathy Pagani. I'm the chair of the commission, and I would like to invite my fellow commission members to introduce themselves to you this evening, beginning on my right, please.
Mary Harmon Young.
Hello, I'm Matt McCool.
Joseph Cox.
William Edwards.
Jordan Morris.
Francine Wasden.
Sally Davis. Thank you. And joining us from city staff this evening, we have Mr. Chad Hobbs, who's the Associate City Attorney, Mr. Hudson Cheshire, who is the Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Emily Hayes, Associate Director of Planning, Mr. Jonathan Bowen, the Neighborhood Resources Coordinator, and Mr. Kevin Jones is providing audiovisual support for us this evening. I'd like to begin this hearing by going over the statement of purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission and talking about our procedures this evening. The general purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission is that we serve to preserve and protect the buildings, sites, and structures of historic significance in Tuscaloosa's historic neighborhoods. We are governed by Chapter 20, Article 2 of the Code of Tuscaloosa, which includes design guidelines that are posted on the city's website. Our decisions are based on these design guidelines and do not consider use or occupancy. We do consider such factors as architectural style, appropriateness of materials, and how the structure relates to other structures in the immediate neighborhood in determining the appropriateness of the application. An approval of an application requires 5 affirmative votes. If the certificate is approved, there is a final inspection by city staff to ensure compliance with what was approved by the commission. This is a public hearing. It is televised live on local cable, streamed online through Facebook and YouTube, and is being recorded to be posted on the city's website. We ask for proper decorum, civility, and respect for others at all times. Prior to this meeting, notice was sent to adjacent property owners, and the public has been notified of the applications presented tonight. This hearing is a chance for the applicant to present their case, for the public to make their views known about the project, and for commission members to gather relevant facts about the application before making its decision. City staff will begin by introducing the application. The applicant will then have a chance to make any comments. The commission will then have an opportunity to ask the applicant questions about the case. I will then open the hearing to public comment. At the close of public comment, the commission will then discuss the matter and vote on the application. Any person wishing to speak on behalf of another person, group, or entity shall provide written authorization from that person, group, or entity being represented. Immediate family members, and we consider that a spouse, a parent, or a child, do not have to provide such written authorization when speaking on behalf of another immediate family member. We ask that you please leave the signs in your yard. City staff will be out in the next few days to collect them. Now, the commission members have had a chance to review tonight's agenda items. Do any of the commission members have a conflict of interest as defined by Section 6 of the commission bylaws with any of these items?
I do with HPC 0624 and HPC 0724.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, I would like to ask city staff if proper notification has been provided for each of the agenda items.
Yes, it has.
Great, thank you. And we shall now move on to our first application for the evening.
Good afternoon, Commission, and welcome back. So first order of business, there are 2 cases to be withdrawn. That was HPC 0124 and HPC 0424. Moving on to cases to be heard, we'll start with HPC 224. Nathan Jurdo petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for an addition on the primary structure. This is at 17 Sherwood Drive in the Sherwood Drive Historic District, Council District 4. So here we have an aerial view of the property as well as a location. This is a view of the primary structure from Sherwood Drive. Next, we have the adjacent northern property and the adjacent southern property, as well as the adjacent western property. So their proposal is to remodel and expand their existing garage. The remodel includes an addition on the primary structure and to also change the garage into more of an open space. This is also notated on the plan. So again, here we have a view of the primary structure. Moving into the site plan. So this addition is located to the rear of the property. Circled in red on the right side of your screen, that is the proposed site plan. Left side of the screen is your existing site plan, so that is the location of the addition. Moving just around different elevations, this is the proposed and the existing left side or left elevation. The most notable change is located right here. We'll move on to the other side elevation. So you can see they're adding an addition on top of an existing garage located there. Moving to the rear, this is where you can really see the full extension of the proposed addition. And all the materials that are being proposed, they currently exist on the primary structure. The new windows will match the same grid pattern and paint color as the existing. The existing windows are made of aluminum clad wood. The new proposed windows will also be aluminum clad wood. And then here we have those applicable design guidelines. We did not receive any public comment for this application, and we do have the representative here in person.
Do we have any questions for city staff? Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
Thanks.
Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up to the podium, please. And we will need you to state your name and address as well.
My name is Nathan Rideau. I live at 5615 Union Chapel Terrace, Northport, Alabama.
Mr. Giordano, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the application?
No, ma'am, not at all. The intent for the design is for it to look like it existed already.
Do we have any questions? Well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Thank you. If
Yeah.
something comes up, we may bring you back to the podium, but right
Okay.
now, thank you very much.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
We've had no public comments submitted. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Then let me close the floor to public comment and open the floor to discussion by commission members.
Everything is in keeping with the existing materials style. We've actually approved a much more impactful addition to this structure in recent memory. So, in my opinion, I don't see any issue.
Any further comments?
I think it looks good.
Thank you. Anything? All right. So we have a standing motion to approve HPC 0224, Nathan Giordano, petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for an addition on the primary structure located at 17 Sherwood Drive in the Sherwood Drive Historic District, Council District 4. Voting on my right, or my left, please. Dr. Davis.
Yes.
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 Mr. Giordano, your application has been approved this evening. Should anything change, please see city staff before you move forward, and good luck with the project. Thank you. You're welcome.
Next request is HPC 324, Paul and Angie Morton petition for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a carport on the property at 1 Pinehurst in the Pinehurst Historic District. This is Council District 4. So here we have an aerial view of this property as well as the location. This is a view of the primary structure. This is a view taken from Pinehurst. And then here we have the adjacent northern property. So the proposal is to construct a cedar pergola on the west side of the property. The height and the appearance of the carport, the proposed pergola will match the adjacent breezeway and the porch. We have several pictures that notate this as well as a site plan. We're going to move back and forth looking at pictures, looking at this lot in particular to discuss the parking situation. So here again, we have a view of the primary structure. This is looking from the Pinehurst side. Next, this is from the 17th Avenue, so on the opposite side of the house, looking at the rear or typical rear portion of the house. This is where the pergola is to be erected. And here we just have a different view of that same area. This is a site plan that was provided by the petitioner. The trees that you see to be removed, they have provided an arborist letter. They've already received expedited approval. So for tonight, it really is just the structure that's being proposed in this section here. There's a note at the bottom, the structure will be at least 24 feet away from the property line. That is more of a zoning requirement, so they do satisfy that requirement. And then here we have some proposed pictures of the structure itself. So you have the structure as well as the parking pad underneath. And then these were pictures that were provided by the applicant themselves. They laid out cones to show exactly where that location would be for that new structure. And I'll go back just so you can kind of see it from each side. And then this is the last picture just showing underneath the existing breezeway and porch. So the materials are for cedar wood, and then here we have the applicable design guidelines for the structure itself, as well as the parking. And so we will talk about the parking just a little bit. There are applicable zoning regulations that apply for this particular lot. This is a unique lot. It is a through lot and a corner lot. So I'm going to go back to the aerial view so we can talk about this just a little bit. One or two more will be right there. But with this being a corner lot and a through lot, as you can see here, they essentially have front yards, or is it going to go back one more? Okay, here we go. So you essentially have a front yard along each of the sides of the property that have street frontage, leaving one side yard here. Going back to the applicable zoning regulations, to erect or to place this parking pad, this parking structure in one of those frontages, it would be considered placing a parking structure in a front yard. This parking definition is different from the zoning ordinance. As I mentioned, that 24 feet, that satisfies the zoning ordinance. However, for the parking, it still is considered parking in the front yard because it is in front of the front facade facing 17th Avenue. So I know I said parking a lot, but here we are to this applicable zoning requirement. So essentially, what this ordinance allows the HPC to do is to either grant or not grant a variance from the requirements in this section. We have shared the proposed drawings with our civil engineer who serves as the Department of Transportation. They have reviewed the plans, they have approved the plans, so it does satisfy that requirement. This proposal does meet our ordinance for structures being located out of the front yard. But here we are, we have the design guidelines and the zoning ordinance discussing front yard parking. So I know there may be some confusion there, but that is essentially what you're looking at, is approving the front yard parking structure. We did receive one comment in support of this application, and we do have the petitioners here in person.
So, commission members, this is a little complicated. It's an unusual situation. Feel free to ask city staff
Yes.
some questions right now about the zoning ordinances, the through lot, the corner lot stuff. There's a lot going on with this, so if you're not clear, ask Mr. Bowen to just go over a few of these aspects again.
Would we need a separate petition to do the variance to allow it? Or is it inherent in what is already proposed?
That's correct. So it would go along with this petition, so they do not need a separate request. If this were a property outside of the historic district, this would go to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. However, because of this particular section of code, the HPC is given the authority to grant that variance.
Thank you for asking about that clarification.
Yeah, just what, I'm sorry, I think I just missed. What is the actual parking surface?
The parking surface, I'll go back to the picture itself. I believe it's concrete. I'll let the petitioner confirm that. I don't recall off the top of my head, and I don't know if they listed on this, but I do know that they provided that. I just can't recall that off the top of my head right now.
And is this rendering of the pergola, is that what's being built, or is this sort of a stock example? And in particular, looking at the rafter ends, do you know if that's the design they're going with?
I believe it's intended to match go back one more image here. I believe it is intended to match what's currently existing right along the existing breezeway, but I will let the petitioners expand on that.
Any other questions about the particulars, about the zoning ordinance, the variance, that sort of stuff procedurally here? All right. Mr. Bowen, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come on up and let the record show that Dr. Nelson has joined the hearing. And if you could state your names and address, please.
Paul and Angie Morton, 1 Pinehurst Drive, Tuscaloosa.
Well, thank you for coming here this evening. So there have been a couple of little questions that have come up already about materials and a little bit about style. I don't know if you heard them. Would you please address those for us?
Yes. So the pad will be concrete and match the driveway, so the same material as the driveway. The rafters will have the same shape as what's on the breezeway. So we intend to match the breezeway in both the shape of the ends as well as the colors. So it will be painted to match what is right here. Yes.
And the drawing itself looks like there are a lot more little dovetails than there are, but the spacing will also match what is existing on the back porch, as well as the roof material. So that roof material is that back porch is kind of a flat roof material.
There it is.
There it is. And so the roof material will be the same. So in a way, if it could have been designed this way in 1914, that's what we're trying to go for.
What is that material on the roof?
Do you remember what it's called?
I don't know what it's called. It's a flat vinyl material.
Okay.
Yeah, the typical on flat roofs. It's also on our second floor, our second story balcony that goes all the way around, as well as the library.
Are there some questions for the Mortons?
I think since we are considering this as a variance, it would be helpful for the record for y'all to tell us a little bit why you need this, the challenges of the site, those sorts of things.
Yeah. So this house has a pass-through driveway that's noted there at the top, and the pass-through is very, very narrow. It was created for cars in 1914. And so we park typically right there in the back is where we currently park. So we kind of park in the front yard because there is nowhere else to park other than the front yard, as defined as a front yard. So we're already parking there. And what we're looking to do is have covering over our cars. Right now, we just have a lot of tree sap and other things coming on our cars.
Unfortunately, the property boundary on the side between us and our neighbor, so technically, if we have 3 front yards, we have a little sliver of a side yard that is there on the side. That area is not wide enough. Our property boundary is snugged up to our next door neighbor pretty closely. So there's really not enough room for us to put, any kind of structure there, which would have been preferable because it wouldn't show as much. Well, it wouldn't show as much from the University Boulevard side. It would actually show more from the Pinehurst side. So then you kind of have to weigh, okay, where do you want it to show from? It's going to show from somewhere. So this is where we kind of ended up after 2.5 years of trying to convince ourselves that we we could make this work, we could, you know, park out in the elements, and we had one paint job ruined. So we've kind of decided it might be time to look for other options.
Another question.
Mm-hmm.
The small structure on the north part of the property, that's an old garage?
It's a carriage.
Carriage
Small carriage.
house.
Yeah.
So in 1914, there was indeed parking on the 17th Avenue side,
There was.
There was, and I have tried
regardless
pulling.
of what you call it.
Yeah,
Right.
I've tried pulling my car into it. The only way I can get in is to fold my mirrors, and then I can't even hardly get out of the car
And then,
because
yeah,
it's
how do
just
you
wasn't
get
built
out?
for cars.
Well, and he has a tiny car, so, I mean, and it kind of pigeonholes us into always keeping one tiny car. But yes, it was, you know, Model Ts were what they had at the time.
Yeah.
And the porte-cochere on the front, we already know from past drawings, has been widened at one point because it was the size of a Model A, and at some point in the, or, yeah, well, actually, it would have been a Model T. In the 50s or early 60s, they could not get a car through. And so they actually went to the trouble of widening it, which is pretty amazing because they did an incredible job. But even now, it's still, you can squeeze certain cars through, but not all.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? We have no further questions right now. Thank you so much. If anything comes up, we'll bring you back. We've had one submitted comment in support of. Is there anyone here present to speak in support of or opposition to this application? I'll close the floor to public comment, and we can move to discussion by commission members. You know, we typically talk about parking and parking in front yards as not permissible in historic districts. But what I really want to underscore in this situation is that I don't think, in my time on the commission, I don't think we've seen a property quite as unique as this, having 3 front yards, right? The side yard there's no room to put what they want to do. So in terms of talking about the variance here, we are not stepping outside of things that we would normally approve. We have the civil engineers consenting to this as well, which is part of the obligation for us to allow or approve a variance here.
And this is obviously an extraordinary structure, as y'all no doubt appreciate, and was very happy to see all the work y'all did on that roof, taking those tiles down and putting them back up. Because it's an extraordinary structure, though, you know, I think what I like about this is I think it's sort of a minimum burden, a minimum change to the property to accomplish what's a perfectly, you know, reasonable goal. So, you know, I applaud that.
Thank you.
I think that the spirit of this section of the ordinance, it's not even in the guidelines, is really intended to keep, you know, parking out of true traditional front yards. The way that the overall zoning ordinance defines these through lots, in that because it has an exposure on that side, that it's actually a front yard. I mean, in theory, you wouldn't even be able to put this driveway there if it were being proposed. So I think this is a very unique case. I think that the spirit of what we're looking at is being met with this, while accommodating this homeowner with protecting their assets, and it'll be an improvement to the property, in my opinion.
Thank you.
I think that if you're looking at all 3 of what we would call front yards, the one where the pergola would be constructed is to me, what least looks like a front yard. And even though you can see what you're planning to do from the public right-of-way from University Boulevard, the fact that you're, you know, matching the corbels to the actual primary structure, to me, you know, makes this an easy choice. So.
If there's no further comment by commission members, we have a standing motion to approve. HPC 0324, Paul and Angie Morton, petition for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a carport on the property located at 1 Pinehurst in the Pinehurst Historic District, Council District 4. Let us vote. Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Morton, your application has been approved. Should anything change, please see city staff, and good luck with your project.
We'll move on to HPC 523, should be 524. We are now 2024, so Scott Russell petitions for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a covered front porch and to change the siding material on the primary structure. This is at 23 Guildswood in the Guildswood Historic District, Council District 4. This is an application that you have seen before. It initially came back in November of 2023, was withdrawn, and now we have some updated drawings. So again, here's the location of the property. Here we have a view of the primary structure from Guildswood, and then here we have those adjacent northern properties. So the proposal has remained exactly the same. They want to remove vinyl siding, replace it with hardy lap siding, and they are also proposing to construct a covered front porch. Here we have, again, the primary structure, and then these are the updated drawings showing this structure. Addressing some of the comments from that November 2023 meeting, you have the existing elevation and the proposed elevation, and we'll just go through the next couple of slides showing you the exact dimension of that proposed porch. We'll move on. This is just a closer up image, keeping the broken pediment and also bringing out those columns, keeping the steps, handrail, just making it a little bit larger. And here we have a proposed side elevation. And then also the proposed section is viewed from above. There would be a metal roof put on top of this covered porch. So the materials, hardy lap siding, the covered porch, wood columns, siding and covered entry materials will also be hardy to match the primary structure, and it will also consist of a metal roof. Here again, we have those applicable design guidelines. We did not receive any public comment for this application, and we do have the petitioner's representative in person.
Any questions for staff? Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Let me invite the applicant and/or the applicant's representative to come on up to the podium. And gentlemen, if you could state your name and address, each of you, for the record, please.
Scott Russell, Trick Construction, 1305 Twin Oaks Road.
Evans Fitz Architects, 19 Audubon Place.
Thank you. Is there anything more, Mr. Russell, you'd like to tell us about the application?
No, ma'am. Well, basically, I did a one-dimensional drawing the first time that it wasn't a great representation of what we were trying to do, so Mr. Fitz was able to do a rendering to
It's
much more
much-
appealing
yes.
drawing so you can understand what the
Yes.
goal was.
Much clearer, gives us a better idea of what you want to do. Are there any questions for Mr. Russell or for Mr. Fitz?
What's an entablature?
Well, let me talk about the design a little bit. The existing, I was here for the last meeting, so I heard your criticism. And we've got the existing door has the decorative pilasters and then the broken pediment bas relief. I mean, that's on the building. And before, we were kind of really not paying too much attention to those elements. So what we've done here is the porch has gotten bigger. We're two big columns that are out on the 6 feet out from the wall, and the covered porch, the entablature, again is larger. I mean, it's a three-dimensional structure. The pediment is out. I call it a protruding pediment. it's coming out even beyond the regular pediment. And the roof, we couldn't do a tall pitched roof. It interferes with the window. So it's just kind of floating out there, but I really think it gives particularly the house is up on a hill, I really think that it presents a marvelous entryway into the house. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions? Any further clarifications?
Are the lanterns remain, I mean, I think I'm answering my own question from this elevation, but in the other drawing, it looked like the lanterns were obscured by the columns.
They are. They're right. The columns line up right in front of them. But you still see them. I mean, in 3 dimensions, they're still a part of the porch.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. We've had no public comments submitted. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? I'll close the floor to public comment and open the floor to any discussion by commission members. We saw this in November. We made a number of comments that have been incorporated into this new design, new proposal. Unless I hear any other comments, we do have a standing motion to approve. I will move forward with that. HPC 0524, Scott Russell petitions for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a covered front porch and to change the siding material on the primary structure located at 23 Guildswood in the Guildswood Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote, beginning on my right, please.
Yes.
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 Mr. Russell, your application has been approved. Nice work on the drawings to both of you. And should anything change, please see city staff before you proceed. But good luck with the project. Thank you. And let the record show that Mr. Edwards is recusing himself from the hearing.
Next case is HPC 624, Tuscaloosa Building and Land LLC petition for a certificate of appropriateness to remove 2 chimneys on the primary structure at 2010 9th Street in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. And so here we have the location and aerial view of that property. This is a view of the primary structure. So the proposal is to remove 2 chimneys from the primary structure. So again, here we have a view, those 2 chimneys in view. And then on your left side, we have the existing chimneys or the existing primary structure showing those 2 chimneys. On the right side, you can see without the 2 chimneys. This is their only request. The petitioner has stated that those are 2 decommissioned chimneys, so they're not in operation. And here we have the applicable design guidelines. I'll go back to this image, but we did not receive any public comment in opposition or in favor of this application, and we do have a representative here in person.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Bowen. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come on up to the podium, and can you please state your name and your address for the record, please?
I'm Anthony Crow, 8264 Harbor Road.
So, Mr. Crow, what can you tell us about this? Removing an external structure like this changes the look of the house a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
So from my understanding, the roof is getting redone completely anyway from leaks and just wear and tear. And with those 2 chimneys, we got boarded up underneath. There's no way of using it, and it's just the roofers were up there and have seen, I think both chimneys have had leaks around them already, so it's just more cost effective to just do away with it. As far as other than doing the flashing and all that good stuff to it, so.
Some questions for Mr. Crow. So there's evidence of leaking.
There is evidence of leaking on both chimneys and really all around the house on the roof, which that's going to get taken care of as well. From my understanding, we talked to the owner, and instead of doing any kind of like metal, they are going back with shingle, so that's going to stay the same as well.
Well, it appears we have no questions for you today.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We've received no public comments submitted. Is there anyone here speaking in support of or opposition to the application? I'll close the floor to public comment, and let's open the floor to discussion by commission members. Some thoughts?
I think it's important, from my view, and others may disagree, that I don't know why, but to me, these chimneys, despite this clearly being a contributing historical structure, Victorian sort of style, the chimneys themselves don't seem to be contributing in any real way to the design of the house, which is not always the case. Sometimes they're very much part of the design of the house, and it might be that even a problematic chimney or a chimney that's been decommissioned nonetheless needs to stay because it's part of the house. But I don't see a concern about this becoming less appropriate as a result of removing these particular chimneys.
I completely agree. There are numerous structures in historic districts where, so if you have one with very ornate brickwork on the front of the house or something like that, they're really there, and they were there because of their necessity in the day, that they were functional. And it's not a primary portion of the contribution this structure gives to the historic districts, in my opinion.
Could we hear that down this way?
I keep thinking I'm talking into the microphone. I agree with Joseph. They're not a major contributing portion of this structure. The style, if it were something that was like on the front of the house and had ornate brickwork or something like that, like many other structures, it would be a different case.
Any further comments?
I have one comment, and I'd like to go in the opposite direction. If you look at what our guidelines say, you all are arguing with the notion of contributing, but this is a Victorian house. Victorian houses had chimneys. There is flashing to take care of the leaking problem, and they're going to do a new roof. They can do new flashing. I do find it in violation of the notion that we should keep what expresses the character of the house. It's been there, the chimneys, for 124 years now, if I remember the date correctly. So I would be inclined to vote against the petition.
Thank you. Are there further comments? All right, so we'll move forward. We have a standing motion to approve, so voting yes approves this, voting no, it's against having the chimneys removed. All right. Standing motion to approve HPC 0624, Tuscaloosa Building and Land, LLC, petitions for a certificate of appropriateness to remove 2 chimneys on the primary structure located at 2010 9th Street in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. Let us begin. On my right again, please. Ms. Young.
No.
Yes?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes, but I appreciate your comment very much, and it really hit home with me. But I can remember the first time for a precedent that we voted to let a chimney come down, and how much it bothered me that I voted for it. I'm going to be bothered tonight a little bit too.
I hope you don't sleep.
Oh, I hope you're not my first patient. Anyway, I agree with the comment entirely, but I think we've set a precedent from before voting for chimneys and allowing, and I think it's something to definitely further address and think about in the future.
I agree too, and I'm glad that Dr. Davis made the comment that she did.
Yes, I am too.
When I picture a chimney with, like an important chimney, I think of something like your home, Dr. Nelson, with where the chimney work is such a part of the character of that style. This one didn't bother me as much, but I did share some of the concerns that Dr. Davis had presented this evening as well. So we have that.
And it may be something that, in the guidelines, that could be fleshed out a little bit more architecturally, what's considered a chimney, whether it's on the front or visible from the front or whatever.
Yes.
You know, that kind of deal.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, but thank you for the comments. So, Mr. Crowe, the application has been approved for this evening. Should anything change, please see city staff before you move forward, and we will now hear our last application.
Yes, the last application is HPC 724, Tuscaloosa Building and Land LLC, petition for a certificate of appropriateness for material and design change to the siding on the primary structure at 2130 Glendale Gardens in the Glendale Gardens Historic District, Council District 2. So here we have an aerial view of the property as well as its location. And this is a view of the primary structure from the street. Next, we have the adjacent eastern and southern properties. So the proposal is to remove existing siding on different portions around the house, and replace it with cedar lap siding. We have received updated pictures that show the siding changes a little bit more clear. On the north face, the stairs, as you will see in the following images, the stairs and the railing will be removed. It'll be replaced entirely with siding. On the west face, they plan to enclose a door and keep the matching board and batten siding that's already there. On the south face, you will see that it will be replaced with board and batten to go back with lap siding. So there's a lot going on here, but we do have pictures from the petitioner that show it a little bit clearer. So as you can see in the red arrows, that particular face, or the south face, would be replaced with the siding you see over here. So that is the first request. Again, this is all cedar lap siding that is going to be replaced just in this portion. Moving on, this is another image just showing that side of the house again. Moving on to the north face, so the door will be enclosed and the stairs and the railing that you see will also be removed. They'll replace that board and batten siding with the siding that you see here and here. So the north face would be the lap siding as well. Just another picture showing the existing. Moving to the west face, this door here, they plan to enclose the door and keep the existing board and batten siding, just extending it where the door used to be. Here we have a different picture showing a different angle, but as you can see, the board and batten siding that currently exists. So there's multiple different requests, but it all has to do with changing the siding and closing a door. And we can go back to those pictures too if you need to see that again. So moving to the materials, we have the cedar lap siding. And the reason why we kept this picture here is because it encompasses both. You've got your board and batten, and then you've got your cedar lap siding up top. So that's essentially what the two requests are, just in one picture. And here we have those applicable design guidelines. We did not receive any public comment for this application. We do have the representative here in person.
Any questions for staff? I'm just wondering, can we go back to the, where we're enclosing the door there?
Yes.
Not the next slide, please. There we go, the existing, thanks. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Let me invite the applicant's representative to come up to the podium, and we'll need your name and address again, please.
Anthony Crowe, 8264 Harbor Road.
So anything more that you'd like us to know about your application?
No, ma'am, it's just, basically, we're just trying to get it all uniform with the rest of the house, and just do away with those two doors. That one door is actually going into just an empty space, not that one, the other one. That's going into the dining room. The French doors would stay. That door right there is just kind of going into what could be a room, but really can't do a room now because it's open to the exterior, so.
Do we have any questions? Dr. Nelson? Any questions? No? Thank you very much. So we've had no submitted public comment. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? Then let me close the floor to public comment, and let's, discuss this and move towards our motion. Fairly straightforward. Appropriate materials. We don't often see cedar coming here. Often it's hardy.
Yeah, it's great to
Hardy
see the
setting.
cedar lab. It looks like the door they were removing, I don't know, there's another door right next to it, there's some sort of combination of additions or something, it doesn't seem historically important. And then the other area where they're going back with the board and batten, so, like for like, I think it might have been administratively approved anyways. But overall, it seems like a good project.
Any other comments? All right, we have a standing motion to approve HPC 0724, Tuscaloosa Building and Land LLC, petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a material and design change to the siding on the primary structure located at 2130 Glendale Gardens in the Glendale Gardens Historic District, Council District 2. We shall vote, beginning with Dr. Nelson, please.
Yes.
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 Mr. Crowe, your application has been approved. And again, should anything change, please see city staff. There will be a final inspection, and good luck with the project. Thank you.
The only order of business we have is we approved as staff 3 expedited approvals since the previous HPC meeting, and that is all that we have.
Thank you very much. This meeting is hereby adjourned.